This is Adam Humphreys again. We're almost done torturing our poor little cube object here. Right click and go to the brush tool. It's kind of more or less what you would expect. Actually, this is normally set on smear mode. Click and drag where we can actually move our geometry just around, and it'll go from one point to the other. So if you notice, we can mess up our geometry pretty quick with this. And you can change the fall off, how it actually reacts, and the radius, of course. And you can do repel. It'll actually push it away from your brush object. So I'm gonna do that a few times. Vortex. So you get different options, and also it'll restrict your selections. So it'll only do what's selected, and it won't do anything down here. So yeah, you can mess up stuff pretty good. But also, if you're used to using it, you can probably get some pretty good things out of it. And there's pull. It'll actually pull the geometry forward. We can actually see the differences here. If we pull that, we can see the differences in the other modes here. There we go. So there's options available there. Now let's undo that a few times. And the magnet tool is pretty similar to the pull feature, except it's restricted to one point. But it'll pull almost all the geometry if we bump up the radius. So it'll pull much of the geometry. And you can rotate it around and pull stuff around. So that's more or less the magnet tool. Undo that a few times. The iron tool is pretty much what you would expect. It actually irons out the creases and edges and I guess folds and wrinkles in your geometry. So if we select that and we click and drag, it'll iron it out. And notice also, of course, it'll shrink it a little bit too. Did that on the whole object. Click and drag to the right. It just softens it completely. We can also do it again and several different times. Of course, it shrinks. It shrinks pretty good. We can also click and drag to the right and make those edges much more pronounced to the degree of ruining our geometry. That's not too good. We can also go back and forth and really do some damage. Okay. But that's the iron tool. Usually, I guess, use it moderately to make geometry a little bit softer in certain places. Now let's go over a few tools, extra tools in the edges mode. Edges mode have a few different tools available for them. Notice you have add point, bridge, brush, close polygon hole, create polygon, edge cut. Edge cut. If we select an edge and click on edge cut, it'll just cut that edge. Notice I have create endgons deselected, otherwise it would create endgons, and generally do not want those unless you plan on using them, I guess getting rid of them later. You can select more than one edge, and it'll actually maintain the flow of your geometry. So also we could use in a similar manner the knife tool with loop mode. Of course, it's not quite the same as using cut edges, but it's available though. Oops. So there's the knife tool. Probably work better if we didn't have that those funny little things there. Oh, I'd already cleaned that up earlier. And I undid a few too many times. Okay. Oops. Also, I guess you notice in polygons mode, this one thing I go ahead and I'm going to cover those later. So let's go back to our edges here. And okay, slide. We've gone over edge cut. We can cut edges across several different places here. Now let's go over to slide. Here we go. This tool right here. Slide. Notice it just has really has no options. There's nothing you can actually set here. It just tells you the percentage of how much you've actually slid it across the perpendicular edges. So we can actually use that a few times. And notice if we do it enough, that those edges actually pretty much these edges here pretty much line up. So that's useful for that. And of course, just sliding the edges, even just so slightly. So if we undo that a few times, so there's a bit of freedom there. It'd be nice if they could make it to where you could actually select an edge and slide it at an exact percentage, but they may have that in version 11.5 or maybe even 12 by now. I just don't have that. I have version 10 I'm using right now. So let's see if we have any other tools. No, that's about it for the edges. Of course, there's break Phong and unbreak Fongs. Remember, the Phong is being when something is smooth. So if we actually smooth that, take an edge and break that Phong. Notice we actually have a little, I guess you could call it an artifact if we render that. Even though our geometry is still the same, the shading is broken, so we can also unbreak that. And we can select broken Phong edges if we had any, but we don't have any right here. Now, see if we have anything more under points. That pretty much covers most of all these modeling tools here, except that I did not yet go over these tools down here. Here we are: array, clone, collapse. I might have covered collapse. Collapse for polygons is more or less the same as just welling it together. We right click and go to collapse. There it is. It just collapses it. Pretty much what the weld points would do for the polygons. Now if we go to array, let's select a little bit more here. Go to array. Notice there's no click and drag here. We actually have all these options. If we just hit apply, notice it just creates an array of all these different items here. Well, that's interesting. We may or may not want that. We can turn the number of clones down, and just the offsets, the scale, and just all the options you'd have anywhere else. Most of the options. So there are definitely options available. I'm just messing with stuff at random now. Notice it doesn't seem to be making a lot of difference there. Oops. Notice you can go to new transform. Notice also it'll probably make two of these on top of each other. Nope. It didn't stack them. Well, that's good. So that can be very helpful. And of course, there's just clone, which that's just a one way. There we go. We have a clone. There it is. And disconnect. Okay, so we notice if we have this smooth, here it is. We actually disconnect something.